For centuries, a major theological debate has centered on a perceived broken covenant. When readers encounter the persistent failures of ancient Israel in the biblical text, a difficult question arises. Did God eventually abandon his original partners and replace them with a brand new religion? Academics often use labels like replacement theology, but as this text argues, they miss a crucial distinction. Fulfillment is not replacement. The new covenant does not erase Israel. God didn't discard his promises. He stepped into history to fulfill them. If God simply abandoned the descendants of Abraham, the biblical story would hinge on a broken promise. By fulfilling the requirements of the covenant himself, Jesus preserves God's faithfulness while addressing the reality of human failure. Instead of lighting the nations, Israel fell into idolatry until that light flickered out in exile. This creates the ultimate theological problem. If God intends to save the world through Israel, how can he accomplish that mission when Israel itself needs to be rescued? The solution is the corporate individual, or a remnant of one. Think of a nation whose ambassador has completely failed their mission. To fix the crisis, the king himself puts on the ambassador's uniform, enters the foreign court, and fulfills the duty perfectly as the nation's representative. Jesus did not arrive to start a new, separate religion. He arrived to be the one successful Israelite, the only one capable of bearing the weight of the nation's calling and succeeding where they had stumbled. The Gospels frame Jesus' life as a redo of Israel's history. Like the nation, Jesus was brought out of Egypt as a child. Israel spent 40 years rebelling in the wilderness. Jesus spent 40 days there, facing temptation, emerging with a moral victory. This wasn't a coincidence. During that testing, Jesus defended himself by quoting the exact scriptures originally given to Israel for their wilderness journey. The parallel continues, with Jesus ascending a mountain to deliver the Sermon on the Mount, mirroring Moses climbing Sinai to deliver the law. By consciously fulfilling Israel's resume step by step, Jesus was demonstrating that he was the faithful Israelite the nation was always intended to be. This tension appears in Isaiah. God calls his servant Israel, yet tasks the servant with rescuing the nation. How can a broken nation save itself? The servant is the Messiah, a representative who restores the group because he doesn't share their failure. A nation in exile lacks the standing to rescue itself. The Messiah acts as the representative who stands as both the servant Israel and the one who restores the physical nation to God. To save the nation, God provided an Israelite without fault, who could bear the weight of their judgment and secure the redemption they could never accomplish on their own. This identification with Israel extended into the physical structures of the Jewish faith. Jesus began to claim the identity of the institutions that anchored their communal life. In the ancient world, the temple functioned as the physical nexus between the divine and the human, the unique coordinate where God's presence met human reality. Jesus radicalized this concept, claiming his own body was the true temple. He became the new location where humanity goes to meet with God. He did the same with the Sabbath. Originally a sign of rest and liberation, Jesus declared himself Lord of the Sabbath, claiming to be the source of the actual rest from sin that the weekly ritual could only point toward. The physical stones of the temple and the temporal rules of the Sabbath were always shadows. They were temporary structures designed to point to the living reality of the Messiah. This brings us back to the modern controversy. Does Jesus becoming the true Israel mean the physical nation is now discarded or irrelevant? The answer is no. As the text states, Jesus is Israel perfected. Because he bore the judgment the nation deserved, he became the foundation for their future. The mission didn't fail, it expanded. The covenant is now thrown wide open to the entire world. This is why the New Testament describes believers as being grafted into the story. Whether Jew or Gentile, anyone who unites with Jesus becomes part of the Israel of God, a priesthood sustained by the roots of this ancient promise. Jesus stands as the climax of the entire narrative. He is the last Adam, the greater David, and the true Israel who finally brings the light of God to the ends of the earth. God didn't scrap his plan or abandon his people. He simply lived the story humanity couldn't live, becoming our eternal temple, our true rest, and the fulfillment of every promise.